It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Challenge Youth Conference 2024, the 25th year of the conference. And this episode is brought to you by The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Worry Coaster, which you can pre-order right now at benandtravis.com. We'll get to our CYC conversation right after these important messages. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast is presented by Faulkner University. Faulkner University is a private Christian liberal arts university based in Montgomery, Alabama, with a mission to provide an education anchored by not only intellect, but also character and service. The Faulkner experience aims to educate the whole person. Every individual matters every day. We all want to become better versions of ourselves. No one wants to remain trapped where they are because of missed opportunities and unrealized dreams. At Faulkner University, we believe your dreams don't have an expiration date. We understand that you're looking for more than a degree. You want to find your niche and thrive in your career. Whether you're a high school senior just beginning your trek or an adult student looking for a better path, Faulkner is here to help guide your journey. Go to faulkner.edu to apply or get more info. That's faulkner.edu. I'm Travis Creasy. That's all pro counselor Ben Hayes. He's with Three Chord Counseling in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Ben, how are you, man? I think you're dealing with a little bit of a CYC, can I say hangover on this podcast?
I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if you could say it that way, but yeah, I don't know. I started getting some sore throat issues sort of toward the end of the day Saturday, and I was just like, get me through SWAT, get me through SWAT, get me through SWAT, and got through SWAT, still felt okay, woke up Sunday morning and could barely swallow or talk. Went to the doctor this morning, and they said it was all negative, all the junk I could have, but I had a kid with strep, so they went ahead and treated me with that anyway. So hopefully it didn't make anybody sick at CYC. That's what I'm hoping. But much better. Those little shots do a world of good. So we're rolling on.
Well, so I'm usually more of a Tuesday. I was asked today at school. This is Monday, right after CYC. This will air later than that, but nonetheless, I was asked at school, how do you have so much energy? And I said, it's not Tuesday yet. So Tuesday it'll hit me, and I may be feeling like you a little bit more tomorrow. But every year we get a year older, we do this thing. It takes a little more out of us. And then of course we just add more things like pre-orders for a children's book and podcast hosting and everything else. And so, but it's a great weekend. We're both very blessed to be involved from the Ben and Travis Wake Up with Ben and Travis gigs, game shows, different ways to get kids on stage, to the videos with Bryce Millison, and this year pre-ordering a little Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Worry Coaster, getting to hang out with Jacob Hennigan, who everyone got a little taste, a little dose of Jacob this weekend, and everybody seemed to enjoy it.
Man.
Yeah, Pizza Man.
Yeah, and SWAT is always a fun time that we get to have. I mean, it's all good. It's all so much good fun. Enjoy getting to hear some amazing speakers. I was really bummed when I woke up Sunday morning not feeling well. I was afraid to go get around too many people. And so I missed TJ Kirk, but I know he did an awesome job as he usually does. Dan Chambers hit a home run again. Lonnie Jones, as usual, killing it. And man, it was awesome to have Brad Montague back. So to have him do something, his lesson was incredible. And then as you guys hopefully got to hear, I assume last week, Brad's podcast with us was an extra special little cherry on top for the weekend for us, just to be able to spend a little extra time with him.
And that's why you ask, right? We kind of kicked around and mentioned last week. We wasn't sure, but you ask, and if you can't, it doesn't work out, that's cool too. But if it does, it's even better. But yeah, it's a great weekend. If your group doesn't go, we'd encourage you to do that. CYC online. Is it .org or .com? I probably should know that.
Good question.
And I can look that up real quick.
I think it's .com.
Yeah, I think so too. But if you haven't gone, there's one in Dallas. It is .com. It is Dallas, Texas in January. And then the original, but the follow up, I guess, is in February at Pigeon Forge. I think they've even got one in Europe going on right now, coming up. And you just never know where the CYC crew might show up. But man, it's organized by Larry and JJ Davenport, and also a board, which we're not going to try to name everybody, but shout out to you and your amazingness and your time and everybody who puts time into it. And man, it's just a huge gathering. Did they say 14,000? I don't know if they ever gave an official count.
That's what I was understanding. It was somewhere between 13 and 14,000. And I believe, I might be wrong, and we can cut this out if I am, but Matt Hupel, Sonny Owens, Josh Webster are the other 3 board members. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody.
Gotcha.
I think that's it. But there's a lot of other people who have their hand in stuff, helping out with things. Some people who've been on this podcast, of course, April Houghton, helping out with T-shirts and other stuff. And so there's all kinds of people helping. So we just really do appreciate the board putting up with us, as Will said, to keep putting up with us year after year and giving us time up there. And it's just an awesome weekend. And let me tell you, the thing that kind of settled in with me this year was we had a lot of former classmates from Freed Hardeman who were there, which means we have a lot of former classmates whose kids are now old enough to be at things like this, which has actually probably been true for a few years, but it started to kind of settle in this year that I was like, wow, the reason that so many of these are here now is not because they're youth ministers anymore, but because they're parents of these kids that are, teenage years. And so that's kind of frightening, but that's probably actually been the case for a little bit longer than I want to admit anyway. So
yeah, it's really cool, and it's a boost. Right. We go to Dallas, we go to Pigeon Forge, and there's so many people who are just so generous and so kind and come and encourage us. We love all the stuff that you do, all the things you're putting out there. And that's good to hear as a person who edits a lot of it and puts a lot of it together on social media. It's a nice boost to know that there are people out there who are listening. So shout out to all of you who are so amazing. And, we have these crazy ideas. Hey, let's do a CYC jam off an NBA jam T-shirt and put CYC people on it. And we sold out of all those. They're all gone.
Crazy.
We got a few podcast shirts left, but it was awesome. It was really incredible. It's overwhelming. We didn't have enough help. And I don't know how to get more help than we have. The help we have is tremendous, but just keep it coming. We are not complaining at all. We love seeing all of you, and your support just means everything. And to say that, we had a goal of pre-order 100 pre-orders of our children's book, The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Worry Coaster. And man, we crushed it. Right now, sitting here recording this, we're at the 160-ish. I think it's like 164 orders. And man, just tremendous. And so production is going to move forward with that because of the generosity of some awesome people.
And shout out to Jacob Hennigan for manning the booth a lot of the times, even when we weren't there to be able to do it because we had to be on stage or whatever. Jacob kind of took one for the team, manned the booth, and helped us out a lot. Really, really excited to be partnering with him for this project. And I just think there's going to be some good things. We even had one comment. Somebody said, this is the best idea you guys have ever had. So I'm not sure that any of the other ideas have been that great. So it kind of depends on what your level of ideas are. But I think a lot of people are excited about this because there's so many people right now who deal with anxiety and deal with struggles. And so there's going to be sort of the story to help set the stage of that. Even a lot of this book is true story. I did worry and struggle about not only roller coasters and things along that line, but I also, struggle with it in other areas and anxious in a lot of things when I was a kid, and as I got a little older, even now looking back, like there was some pretty weird fears that I had when I was growing up, but also that there's just a need in the church for understanding mental health. We've talked about that a lot. So hopefully there's going to be kind of the story that helps people connect. And then at the end, we're going to have some practical things maybe listed at the back of the book is my hope. Maybe even some Bible verses that help with that and toward the end of it. And so we got several different ideas we're still working on for the end of it. But I'm just really excited to see what Jacob will do with those images and how it's going to look. Because
the cover reveal was phenomenal. And I've heard nothing but tremendous things because it does pop. It is awesome. It is a thing of beauty, even though it has the cartoon version of us on there. The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. HCU produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University offers 5 degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. HCU is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and is an associate member of the Association of Theological Schools. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt. In fact, most graduates finish at HCU without owing anything for their education. For the spring 2024 semester, HCU is offering full tuition scholarships for the graduate level students. For more information about the scholarships they offer, visit www.hcu.edu. HCU invites you to the 2024 Heritage event at the Marriott Shoals Conference Center. Join them on Saturday, August 24th for an incredible night of music from the legendary Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Thunder. General admission tickets and table sponsorships are available for purchase. Visit hcu.edu to purchase your tickets today. If you think HCU is the perfect university for you, visit hcu.edu to schedule a tour or apply today. Heritage Christian University helps you thrive in your ministry. I'm sure that at some point our wives rotated around the booth. If they didn't help sell things,
they did.
Talk to people, and so shout out to them. Thankful for them, and I think even Pam Lynn's may have helped out some there. I know that her husband handed me a marker when for some reason we were asked for autographs, but nonetheless, a lot of people pitching in, and if we tried to name them all, we would certainly lose that battle. But man, just a tremendous, encouraging weekend to see people, so many people there, many of whom we know personally who still talk to us, which is awesome. People we've went on the road and presented lessons either together or individually at different times, still talk to us. And that brings up, we're going to bring a little piece of CYC on the road with us over the next few weeks. I know later in March, you're going to be coming to my neck of the woods up here in Fayetteville, Tennessee, to do our mental health workshop, Helping Healing Humor. And so we'll be presenting those. And of course, that will present an opportunity to help out with the children's book as well. Of course, we want everybody praying for that. And then in April, towards the end of April, we'll be loading up and heading back to Ohio.
Yeah.
That's Orville Park Church of Christ in Ohio. We'll be with them presenting our mental health stuff as well.
And we're hoping maybe to have some, we're at least going to do a podcast that lads to leaders in one of those time slots, and possibly have a booth if we can work that out, or have some information up there about our book somewhere. So that's the plan right now. And so, there's those things, got some other things going on all through the rest of the year. But I know I was sitting there in my mind thinking about, at the booth, I know that we spoke to people from Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, pretty sure Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia, Georgia. I mean, I can sit in, probably Florida too. And, it seems like maybe Pennsylvania. So I know that there was just a bunch of people who came by from all sorts of different places. I'm probably missing somebody, Missouri, because Marty came by. Marty Luna from the days of college came by. He lives in Missouri. So just people from all over were at CYC Pigeon Forge. And of course, if you count all the ones we talked to back at Dallas, then we had Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana. And, so we got brothers and sisters everywhere. It's the greatest part of being one of the greatest parts of being a part of the church. And I know several of our speakers talked about that this weekend because it was about family. But it's so cool to have family everywhere. My son travels a lot now with his work. And so he always, when he's going somewhere, I go, oh, I know somebody there. And he said, who is it you can ask this week about, where I can eat while I'm on the road or whatever, because he's been down in Louisiana and I've, connected him to some of our people there. And it's just really cool to know that. And if you got a kid that's on the road, to know that, hey, I've got somebody that can be to them within an hour, probably, no matter where they go, because of the church. And that's a huge blessing in so many ways.
Well, speaking of keeping the roads hot, I know I've had people ask while we're at CYC, what is it to get the ball rolling, to get Ben and Travis at their congregation or in their area? And the email address, if you're watching the video, it's there. If you're listening to the podcast, I'll try to remember to put it down in the description, is hello@benandtravis.com. We're probably, I would be willing to guess, probably tapped out. We might have one more date left in 2024, starting to look at 2025, maybe even farther out. I know we got some SWAT dates coming up in 2027. So, the quicker you reach out to us, the more availability we may have. Also, I know there are a bunch of people who came by the booth. Maybe you paid with cash or something along those lines. Maybe we ran out of T-shirts and you ordered the sponsorship level. You can also reach out to us at hello@benandtravis.com and let us know what we owe you. I'll be in touch either way, even if you don't, to make sure. We want to make sure we honor our commitments to you. If you have been so supportive, and so many of you have. So you can reach out to us in either occasions, or maybe you just like to be like, hey guys, and that's it. hello@benandtravis.com works. But Ben, one of the takeaways as we kind of wrap up this episode, to me, is just how amazing the lessons build on each other.
Oh yeah.
I was telling Whitney, there's that famous picture of Dwayne Wade, and he's like underneath the goal, and LeBron is about to dunk it. I don't know if he's alley-ooped it to LeBron or whatever, but LeBron's fixing to just hammer it home, and Dwayne Wade's just under the goal with his arms spread out wide, like he knows what's about to happen. And I kept thinking about that image every time I heard a speaker, Dan on Friday night, and then Brad on Saturday morning, and then Lonnie on Saturday night. And it was like SWAT team, is about to dunk it like LeBron, or I'm sure TJ Kirk did on Sunday. But it's awesome to see, that general theme that's put out there and how woven together everything is,
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Brad. I don't know has ever watched SWAT that I'm aware of, and he certainly had no idea what we were talking about. And he threw several soft tosses to us to hit out of the park, and it was like several of his bits of his lesson just sort of led right into what we were going to talk about. Some of what Dan talked about, some of what Lonnie. Of course, Lonnie kind of has an inside track there, but even when the guys who have no idea what's coming sort of toss us a nice little thing to handle when we get up there with SWAT that we've already practiced and they don't know it, and it's really awesome to see that. So it's just such a blessing to be a part of it. And especially you mentioned SWAT and I mentioned SWAT. We hear so much good that comes from that. And we are just having a good time, and we're hoping that we can pass a message on. But those are some of our best friends that we get to hang out with and get to just spend a little extra time with every year as we get ready. And it's just amazing to see that makes such an impact. And every year it seems like people talk about that's a big takeaway from the weekend. And, we always kind of have our questions and our doubts and our wonderings of, okay, how's this going to land? And then we get up there and it seems to go over so well with everybody in the crowd.
Absolutely. And, we just have so much fun. We're having a blast, and it's really cool to see God use that in a mighty, powerful way. You go back to the image I was talking about, and it's really the Lord bringing it home. He's the one that makes all this possible. And so it starts with him. And we certainly, I'm so thankful to God and his using of our goofiness, because that's really what we want. That's what we want, is people to be drawn closer to him. And we certainly hope everything that we do, from the Taylor Swift laden videos that Bryce edits, Blake and Will doing a tremendous job on those, to SWAT, to the speakers, to this children's book. We want the Lord to be honored and to draw people closer to him, and know that he is heavily involved. And if you're interested in supporting, once again, for those watching the video, benandtravis.com/store. We also have a Patreon. I had some people ask, what can we do throughout the year? And liking the podcast, hitting that like button, subscribing to the platforms. We do have a Patreon, and everybody that's on Patreon gets all of our stuff first, and without the ads and things like that. So those are just some ways. First and foremost, be in prayer. That's where we want everyone and all this to start. But Ben, I appreciate it, man. I hope you get to feeling better sooner rather than later, because we got things to do, bro.
I hear you. And one last thing I'd say is I try to tell some groups that I work with that don't forget how to have a good time with your kids, with each other. Like, you don't need all the stuff the world tells you need to have a good time. We have a good time with SWAT. We have a good time with each other, with all this good stuff that we get a chance to do. And you can have a good time and serve the Lord, do the right things. And maybe that's a message. I hope that's a message that comes across to the kids that we're around, is that, you can grow old and have a good time, and you can have a good time without all the mess that the world tries to tell you need. So hopefully that's a message that gets sent.
All right. We're getting fired up, geared up. It'll be next year before you know it. And we'll be certainly concentrating until then. And furthermore, to think like Jesus. I think that's the theme for next year. So
nice.
Be ready. Challenge Youth Conference. We'd love to see you there. Of course, we'd love you to see at all these other events that we might be at. And that'll start here in Fayetteville. And then I think the next week is Lads to Leaders. So hope to see you out and about. Y'all have a great week.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com, and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.